The sun hung low over Westfield University, casting long shadows across the stone pathways that wove between the campus's red brick buildings. Students bustled around the quad, some hurrying to their next lecture, others lounging in groups, deep in conversation. Today, however, something was different. A small crowd had begun to gather near the Student Union courtyard, where a makeshift stage had been set up. At the center of it all stood Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, a conservative activist and no stranger to campus debates. Dressed in a navy blazer and jeans, his expression was calm yet focused. Across from him, a young student named Josh Miller stepped forward, adjusting his backpack strap as he prepared to challenge the guest speaker. Josh, a sophomore political science major, had a reputation around campus as a fierce debater. Passionate, outspoken, and deeply critical of conservative politics, he saw this moment as his opportunity to make a statement. With a deep breath, he stepped closer to the microphone. Josh cleared his throat, his voice steady, but carrying a hint of nervous energy. "Mr. Kirk, you talk a lot about free markets, personal responsibility, and patriotism. But let's be real. Your ideology only benefits the privileged. How do you justify promoting a system that keeps the rich richer while working-class Americans struggle to afford health care, education, and basic needs?" A murmur spread through the crowd. Some students nodded in agreement. Others glanced at Charlie, waiting for his response. Charlie smiled slightly, as if he had been expecting this question. He leaned forward, one hand in his pocket. "Josh, first of all, I appreciate the passion. I really do. But let's talk about facts, not just slogans. You claim capitalism only benefits the rich. But tell me, where in the world have socialist policies lifted the working class out of poverty?" Josh scoffed. "That's not an answer. You're dodging the question. Millions of people in America struggle every day while billionaires get richer. How is that fair?" Charlie nodded. "It's a fair concern. But here's what most people miss. Capitalism has done more to lift people out of poverty than any other system in history. The free market isn't the problem. It's government interference, excessive regulation, and handouts that create dependency instead of opportunity. Why do you think immigrants come to America? They don't come here for socialism. They come here for freedom." The crowd stirred, some clapping, others muttering to themselves. Josh, unfazed, crossed his arms. "That's easy to say when you're on the winning side, but for people born into poverty, for minorities, for those stuck in low-income neighborhoods, just work harder isn't a solution." Charlie took a step closer. "I agree that life isn't fair, and not everyone starts from the same place. But the real question is, what's the best way to fix that? Handouts from the government? Or giving people the tools and freedom to build something for themselves?" Josh narrowed his eyes. "You act like everyone has an equal shot, but that's just not true. Systemic racism, economic inequality, student loan debt. How do you expect people to succeed when the system is rigged against them?" Charlie's expression remained calm. "Josh, let me ask you something. Do you believe America is a racist country?" Josh hesitated. He had expected to be on the offensive, not defending his own views. "Yes, look at history. Look at incarceration rates. Look at wealth distribution. The facts speak for themselves." Charlie nodded, then turned to the audience. "All right, let's unpack that. If America is fundamentally racist, why do so many minorities outperform whites in education and income. Asian Americans have higher average incomes than white Americans. Nigerian immigrants have some of the highest college graduation rates. How do you explain that if the system is designed to hold them back? Josh frowned. That's cherry picking. Those are outliers. Charlie tilted his head. Outliers? Or proof that hard work, family values, and discipline matter more than systemic oppression? Look, I'm not saying discrimination never happens, but you can't convince me that America is inherently oppressive when millions of minorities come here, work hard, and succeed. A ripple of agreement passed through the audience. Even some students who had started out skeptical were now nodding along. Josh took a deep breath. He had one more argument up his sleeve. Okay, fine. Let's talk about education. Conservatives love to cut funding for schools, yet you blame failing schools on culture instead of lack of resources. Why don't you support more government investment in education? Charlie smiled. He had been waiting for this. Josh, what if I told you that in cities like Baltimore, Detroit, and Los Angeles, public schools get tens of thousands of dollars per student, more than some private schools, yet the outcomes are terrible? Why? Josh blinked. Because they don't have enough. Charlie shook his head. No, because it's not about money, it's about how that money is used. Bureaucrats waste billions on administration instead of paying teachers. School choice, letting parents pick where their kids go, works better than just throwing money at broken systems. Would you agree parents should have the freedom to send their kids to the best school possible? Josh hesitated. The crowd was silent, waiting. Finally, he sighed. I guess I can see that point. Charlie smiled. As the debate wound down, Charlie reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, a red MAGA hat. He held it up, and laughter rippled through the crowd. Josh, I have something for you. Josh raised an eyebrow. You're kidding. Charlie smirked. Not at all. I want you to have this, not because I expect you to suddenly agree with me, but because I want you to remember this conversation. Make America Great Again isn't just a slogan. It's a reminder that America isn't the enemy. Opportunity is here, but it's up to us to make the most of it. The crowd erupted in applause. Some students cheered, others simply watched in awe. Josh hesitated, then, to everyone's surprise, took the hat. He twirled it in his hands, looking at the bold white letters. I still think you're wrong, he said finally, but I respect you for coming here and having this conversation. Charlie extended a hand, and after a moment's hesitation, Josh shook it. The cameras flashed, capturing the moment that would soon go viral. That night, millions of people would watch the video, some cheering, others debating. But one thing was clear. This was the debate that changed everything.